Hi there, it's Dr. Saira, and I am back for Ask Dr. Saira, our video series where I answer your questions. Your questions about personal growth, relationships, spirituality, pretty much how to change your life by changing your story. So I have a question for this week. The question comes from Harpreet. She says, "Hi Dr. Saira, love following you on Facebook and Instagram. Here is my question. How do you know if your friendships have expired and you need to move on from them?" From Harpreet. Harpreet, that's a really good question because many of us have been in friendships for a period of time, and at some point it starts feeling like maybe this is done. Maybe we're kind of complete here. And it's kind of tricky, especially when you've been friends with that person for a while and all of a sudden now you don't feel like you have much in common or you're kind of disconnected from them. So how do you know when a friendship is kind of coming to its natural conclusion? You know, there's that saying, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So if it's just a reason or a season, then you have to be able to discern when that reason or that season is over, right? When it's time to let that person go and to move on. And you know it feels uncomfortable. Like, Harpreet, you're asking the question, which means there's probably already a part of you that feels like the friendship has expired. And I love the word expired because it means to me that there wasn't necessarily a big drama or some big event that happened. It's just like it's kind of naturally coming to a close. So I want to share with you a little concept that I have found really useful in friendships and relationships around ending. And that concept is called the dead zone. So it's a concept developed by Dr. Chuck Spezzano of the Psychology of Vision. And he talks about the dead zone. And it's part of a bigger model that he teaches called the relationship triangle. So let me kind of, in a couple of minutes, just explain to you what that is so that you can understand better what the dead zone is. So in the relationship triangle, he talks about the evolution of relationship, right? So you start on kind of the dependent side, which means it's really about them. There's a lot of vulnerability, not vulnerability in the way Brene Brown talks about it, like authentic vulnerability, but more in like you feel like, you know, uncomfortable and like your needs aren't sometimes getting met. You might feel upset or like a bit of a victim sometimes. You might be in a bit of judgment. So you're kind of on this dependent side where it's the other person that's kind of calling the shots and making the decisions. And that doesn't feel very comfortable. So pretty soon we move into the independent side of relationship, whereas all of a sudden now you are the one who's kind of a little bit more distant, a little bit more in control, not as like head over heels or like chasing or pursuing the other person. You have boundaries and you're, you know, like I said, control. And when you're in that space, what often happens is a power struggle because now you're doing what you need to do for you. The other person is kind of doing what they need to do for them. And, you know, who's going to win here? It's a bit of a tug of war. After the power struggle comes the dead zone. So the dead zone is where things kind of feel done. Like you just kind of feel bored of it. You're kind of over it. There's nothing in it for you anymore. Things have expired, right? You kind of have that feeling. Now, before I knew about the dead zone, I would, end things because I was kind of more in the independent in my relationships, and I would end things. I would kind of walk away from the job or the person or whatever. And when I learned about the dead zone, what I realized was that if I keep doing that, it's like you walk away from that relationship or that friendship or that job, and suddenly you find yourself right back in the same situation with a whole new person. But, you know, the feelings are similar. The feelings are the same. So I was starting to wonder, okay, well, what's beyond that? Like, how can you actually partner with someone, whether it's a friend, whether it's an intimate partnership, a colleague? How can you actually enter into equal relationship with them? And so Chuck addresses that in his model, where he moves you into interdependence. And interdependence is where you start seeing the other as your equal, and you start connecting in partnership with people. So whether it's your intimate partner, your parent, your child, you start seeing other people as equal. And it's not just equal the way that we would talk about it, like, you know, human rights kind of way. No, it's kind of a spiritual level of equality, understanding that we're all here, souls on a journey, and no one of us has all the answers, and no one of us is like, you know, the guru. Like, we all have our inner teacher and we need to value that in each other. So how do you get through the dead zone into interdependence? Well, it's a thing that you probably don't want to hear, Harpreet, but here's what you do. You fully commit. You fully commit to that thing that's making you feel like, I'm kind of over it. Because when you fully commit to something, the truth will become clear. Either that relationship will just kind of naturally fade away without a lot of drama. Or you'll go to the next level of actually closeness and intimacy with that person. You might find something about these friends that you didn't know that was there. Or maybe by you showing up a little bit more authentically, it gives them permission to do the same thing. So that's the way to know if your friendship has expired, is that have you given it your all? Have you totally put in, your 100% and dived in and said, yes, I'm in this. And if you've done that and there's nothing growing and nothing changing, well then yeah, maybe it's time to gently and without effort and without drama part ways. And that's okay. Friends, like I said, come into your life for sometimes a period of time to teach you a particular lesson or to be with you on a particular aspect of your journey, and then they move on, and it's okay. And there may be a grieving process, for you and for them, as you realize that part of your life is over, and that's okay too. And if you're willing to actually go through the grieving process, actually let them go from the bottom of your heart and not hold a grudge and not tell a bad story about, how awful they were, then you make room in your life for the kinds of friends that will be those lifelong, trusted people. And you're going to have one or two of those. You're not going to have 16 lifetime people. You'll have one or two or three that, for your life, for your span, they're there with you. And I think one of the challenges in friendships, especially between women, is we try to make every friend that lifetime friend, and that's not going to happen because not everybody's matched to us in that way. We can have periods of close friendship, absolutely, but to know that the people who actually deserve to be in it's called an inner circle because it's small, right? It's your inner circle. And there may be different people that come into that inner circle at different points in your life, and then they move a little bit to the periphery. That's allowed. So if you feel like your friendships have expired, then I would recommend you to just start to gently let them go. If you have a question for me, please write to me at connect@talktosaira.com. That's my alarm, which means I'm going over time, so I'm going to run. I'll talk to you later. It's your life, and only you can live it.